it's Alicia here with my work basket. Today I wanted to do kind of a quick video for you and show you just some of what I've got on my hooks and needles and craft room table and all that stuff. So it's a little bit of a show off episode, show you what I've got going. I just found one item's got like a string. It's a finished item. But so first I'm going to start with an Afghan. I started this Afghan almost a year ago. You may or may not remember or be aware that a year ago I had shoulder surgery and I was down one arm, and it was weeks, months before I could make anything. And honestly, even before the surgery, I wasn't able to make very much because of needing the surgery. So when I had the surgery and I can only use one hand, I started an Afghan project with a vintage tool. I have another one sitting here called a one needle knitter. It's by K-Tel, so it was done on something like this. And there's other companies that make it. So this one is called, I believe this one's a Grant's Looper, but as you can see, they're pretty much the same thing. And those are actually done much more with one hand than knitting or crochet, which tend to use a lot more of both hands. And so I started a blanket pattern with that like last October, and recently I finished it up. I had almost all of the strips needed. I made, I think, 2, maybe 3 more strips just kind of like a couple of weeks ago and sewed it up. And it's only a little fella. It's kind of a small Afghan. Perfect size for just covering your legs while you're watching TV, kind of a throw while you're got your legs up on the recliner sort of deal. So it's not super big, but I do love the stitch pattern. I couldn't quite figure out the best way to sew them so the back side has ridges. At least I consider it the back, but I actually kind of like that side better. So I finished that recently. Now, the funny thing is, this project itself has been sitting there for almost a year, like I said, but the yarns used have been in my stash, most of them, for an embarrassingly long time. Way back when I was about 14 or 15 years old. I am 38 now, so you can do the math on that. I bought the yarn to make an Afghan pattern that I saw. It was a free tear off, and I was so in love with it, and I bought the yarn for that. And so this pink, this green, this purple, this tealy color, this green, they are all from that pattern that I have had. I've had that yarn in my stash that long waiting to be used. The Afghan that I originally intended to make all those years ago never got finished. I think I finished a few squares and was kind of done of it by then. And so that yarn's just been sitting around, and I still have more of it. Like, I didn't use up all of it. So that is finished. I'm super proud of it. I know it's small, but besides the fact that I did most of it while I was recovering from shoulder surgery and could barely move, like couldn't move one arm, you know, I'm impressed with that. But then also, I don't tend to finish a lot of big projects like Afghans. So this is only like the 3rd or 4th Afghan I've ever finished in all of my years of crochet. So even though it's small, well, not even crochet, because that's not crochet, but like all my years of yarn work, it's only like the 3rd or 4th Afghan I've ever finished. So also going on right now, I have a knit shawl. I don't have it here to show you. I also have a crochet shawl that I didn't bring upstairs to show you. But I have a Tunisian crochet scarf. I saw a YouTube tutorial, and I'll be honest, it wasn't a great tutorial for this stitch pattern. And I was like, I want to use that for something. And I also don't understand why, but I'm getting like a bias going. It looks like it's intentional, like it's balanced all the time, but I have kind of a bias going. I believe this yarn is Unforgettable. I think that's the name of the yarn. I have 2 balls of it, and I had attempted it in a knitting machine project that didn't work out, and so I re-balled it, and it didn't have the wrapper on it. But I've got 2 skeins of this, and I'm planning to just kind of keep going with this scarf as long as 2 skeins will let me. So I'm working on that, trying to do a few rows every day. I have a lot of projects. I keep a lot of projects going. I have a quilt downstairs that I am working on my antique sewing machine. I didn't bring that one upstairs to show you. It's coming along pretty well. I'd say it's probably about half done, somewhere right around that halfway mark of being finished. And then I'll, of course, have to do the binding. And I'm going to do a self-binding where I just fold the back over. I left extra space on the back. Also, crochet related, I have been working on, I think the other squares are back here. I have been working on a Afghan. I think I posted a video about it. And I also talked about like British crochet versus American crochet. And those squares are piling up. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 squares completed for that so far. The pattern calls for, I think, 48 squares. And I'm a little concerned if I'm going to have enough yarn to do them. I have the exact amount of yardage that the pattern calls for, the exact amount. So yeah, there's like no give room, and it's not a huge Afghan anyway. I think it was like 48 inches square. So if I do run out of yarn, it's going to come out a little on the small side. But I'm using Lion Brand Mandala in, I think it's the Spirit colorway, and I like the way they kind of shift gently from one square to the next. And I'm thinking about doing it kind of like snail shelled, where it goes through the color graduations around the blanket, especially since it's hopefully going to come out as a square blanket. So I've got all those squares stacking up, so that project is coming along. I also still have, I'm making a wool blanket. It's a wool quilt for my son. I haven't worked on it like almost all summer because it's hot. Like even having it on the table and working on it, some of it falls into your lap and it's warm. And my craft room tends to be really warm. The ceiling fan doesn't work in here. And depending on what you're working with, it's hard to have a fan on anyway because it blows stuff all over. So it's been too hot to work on the wool blanket. But I'm hoping, like I'm excited to start on it again when weather allows. And then the last project I have to show for you today is, I mentioned recently, I got a Lutterlow, also pronounced Lutterlow. I've heard it pronounced all kinds of ways. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but I say Lutterlow. It's probably wrong, but that's what I'm going to call it. So I have done a little bit of that. I made a very basic shirt that I meant to bring in to show you, and I left it in the other room. But what I am working on is a jacket. And I have the pattern. Oh, no, actually, that's not the right pattern. That's the shirt. Let me start over here. So what I did, I'll show you it. I did this shirt in kind of like a goofy cotton print. It could be a little bit better, to be honest, like the overall thing. The pattern is clearly meant for a much drapier fabric than I used. But I had used this, I'm trying to find the pattern for the jacket so I can show you the finished thing. So I had used a much, like, sorry, I'm going to focus so I'm not like distracted. So they always suggest with Lutterlow that you start with the vest, and the vest helps you know how to adjust any future patterns and helps you check fit and all that stuff. The vest brought to my attention that I need some serious practice with making darts and knowing where to put darts. So I'm kind of playing around with the vest with like a basting stitch and moving the darts around and just kind of seeing how, you know, those affect things. I learn much more by seeing and doing than by like reading in a book. So I'm playing with the darts in that. And I used what is kind of a funky cotton fabric that I got in an auction lot. And the auction lot was listed as fabric, and what it turned out to be was a box full of curtains with some homemade curtains from fabric on top. And they literally just hemmed the top, hemmed the bottom, hung it up as curtains. So that is kind of a scrap fabric. I had probably 3 to 4 yards of it, of this like funky owl print. This is the print, I can show you that much. So that is the print of it, and I was using that for the vest because it's a fabric of unknown origin, and like not like what else would I use it for, you know? So I did the bodice with that, and my husband was like, that fabric is just so you should make something that you'll actually wear. And I was hoping to make a dress with it, like a very Miss Frizzle kind of thing, and I didn't have enough fabric left after making the vest with it. So I would either have to use the vest and modify it into the top of the dress or do something else. And I could potentially, but probably not, still do maybe like a skirt or something. But in reality, I wouldn't actually wear that dress all that much. So I said, let me make the top, and it's basic, but I can use the fabric, and it's an alternative to a t-shirt, something quick to pull on. The neckline here is a little stiff because of the stiffer fabric, and I'm hoping that like a good wash will kind of loosen it up, especially as you wear it, it'll loosen up. So I cannot find the pattern for the jacket, and I'm already at the 10-minute mark. So I'm going to show you what I have so far for the jacket. Actually, here we go. So this is the jacket pattern. I feel looking at it like it's a little bit 90s-ish, but I decided to go with it with a really nice kind of teal colored wool, and I was debating if I'm going to put the trim on or not. I'm still not entirely sure, but I have tons of this trim, and I'm hoping to use that if I do, and I think I will. I ended up lengthening the sleeves because you can see here they're just a little bit shorter, and I have long arms, like ridiculously long arms. So I lengthened the sleeves, and then I actually lengthened the jacket itself. I was like, I'm going to max it out. Like as far as I can get it in the fabric, that's what I'm going to do. And I was able to lengthen it 4 3/4 inches exactly. And so this is that so far. Now, the unfortunate thing is that I ran out of thread. I ran out of thread for my jacket, so I can't progress anymore until I've been to the store. It's got like an interesting seam here. That was fun to make. So I can't finish it until I go to the store, and today is Labor Day, so I don't know. There's actually a quilt store like right across the street from my house. I walk there. I think they'll sell the thread I've used already. It's just a Coats and Clark, but they're kind of a fancier quilt store, so I don't know for sure that they would. But I suspect they're closed today because of Labor Day, and I have somewhere to go in like a little while, and I haven't been able to check. But so that is coming along. I think it's going to come out really pretty. So that is a discussion of the projects I've going so far. I have one sleeve done for the jacket. I have the second sleeve in progress. That's when I ran out. So once I get thread, it'll whip up in like no time at all. But I ran out of thread. I couldn't even believe it. So that is a quick video for you today of everything that I have going on crafty wise. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about what you have going on crafty wise. And I thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these projects, as well as, like I said, tell me about what you're making. And I thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Have a great day. Have a great day.